So, criminal conspiracy. I want to talk a moment about criminal conspiracy. So the theory behind criminal conspiracy is this, okay? So my body, the body of Tanoa here, I have a whole bunch of different parts. I have hands, I have eyes, I have ears, I have nose, I have arms, all these different parts that make up the body of Tanoa, right? So this is the body of me. If my hand goes out and it steals something, right? My head can't say, oh, it was my hand that did it, you can't punish me. No, the whole body, right? All the agents of the body are all equally guilty for any criminal act committed by any one of my faculties, any one of my agents. My hand goes to steal something, my head has to be punished in the same way that my hand would for the crime is committed, right? So now comes the theory of criminal conspiracy, okay? So when a body of men that make up a state, right, they have a whole bunch of different parts too. They have prosecutors and judges and law enforcement and CPS. They have all these different parts that make up the body of the state. If the police officer goes out and steal and kills someone, right, then the judge can't say, oh, it wasn't me that did it. You can't punish me because they're part of the same body of men, right? This judge, in order to mitigate his culpability within the criminal act committed by the police officer, is he must hold that police officer accountable for the crimes that the police officer committed in violating the rights of someone when they murdered someone or executed someone, right, without lawful authority. And so this judge, the only way he can mitigate his culpability is by saying to the police officer, I'm going to hold you accountable for the crimes you committed, thus notifying his co-conspirators of his intent to no longer participate in the criminal conspiracy. But if the judge does not hold the police officer accountable for the crimes they commit, then he himself is aware of it and he's permitting it to continue, and as a result, he's part of the conspiracy to commit these crimes, right? And he's accountable for the exact same crimes as any one of the agents that's doing it. Therein lies criminal conspiracy. Therein lies the theory behind it. So we have Justice Gorsuch, right? You guys know I've been hitting him extra hard, Justice Gorsuch. Justice Gorsuch just wrote a book, Overruled. When you open up Justice Gorsuch's book, right, and you read it, there's a number of chapters that talk about prosecutors who are threatening and intimidating witnesses in order to get them to plead guilty. He talks about, in his CPS chapter, he talks about CPS threatening and intimidating parents in order to take their children from them, right? Threatening and intimidating. Those are very, very telling words. The reason why they're telling words is because the Fifth Amendment self-incrimination clause, it says no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to act as a witness against himself. That's his self-incrimination clause. So no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to act as a witness against himself. Compelled in this context means to bring about to the use of threats or intimidation. So when you say you can't be compelled, it's saying you can't be threatened or intimidated into acting as a witness against yourself. That would clearly be a violation of self-incrimination clause. Well, the problem is that on a plea bargain, right, when you sign it, down at the bottom of it, it says I did certain things, which means that you are acting as a witness against yourself. And the way that they get you to do it is through the use of threats or intimidation, which is the exact words that Gorsuch used in his book when he says, oh yeah, prosecutors are threatening people in order to get them to plead guilty. That's the very word that we need to overcome the constitutional obligation, because no person shall be threatened or intimidated into acting as a witness against themselves. And guess what? When you sign a plea bargain, you're acting as a witness against yourself. In fact, you're the only witness. There is no other witness. You yourself are doing it, and the way that they get you to do it is through, according to Justice Gorsuch, is through threats and intimidation. So now we have one member of the body of men that make up the Supreme Court that has admitted in a book that all of you can read. He's admitted in a book that, hey, this is happening. Threats and intimidation, which is the very word that we need to go to the Fifth Amendment and say all these plea bargains are all fucking void. They're all void. Because you cannot use threats or intimidation to get a person to act as a witness against themselves without rendering that judgment void because of the constitutional violation within. Okay? So we now have one member of the body of men that make up the state that says, yep, I've admitted that we're committing crimes. I wrote it in a book, and I admit that we're committing crimes. The other 8 members of that body of men cannot now say, oh no, we're not. Because guess what? That's not how criminal conspiracy works. When one of the members of the body of men that make up the Supreme Court admits crimes in a book and on TV, in interviews, then the other 8 members of the body of men are already guilty of what has been admitted. So you see, we have some unbelievable power right now because of the self-admission written in the book of one of the justices who's already said that they've been committing crimes in direct violation of the Constitution of the United States of America, which means that all 8 of them are all guilty of it. We got them in an amazing position right now because that's how criminal conspiracy works, you guys. That's how it works. When one agent of the body of men admit to it, the rest of them are guilty of it. Unless they want to mitigate their culpability with it by stepping up and saying, hey, we no longer want to participate in this, by holding their agents accountable for the crimes they're committing. So Supreme Court, you need to understand what is happening here. Mr. Gorsuch, you need to understand what's happening here. You have admitted crimes being committed by your agents, right? And you're now aware of it. You're permitting it to continue, which means that you are part of the criminal conspiracy, right? Because any person who, having knowledge of any of the wrongs conspired to be done, and who have the power to prevent or aid in the prevention of the commission of same, neglects or refuses to do so, may be joined and dispense the action. So upon providing notice to the people of the United States through your book overruled, by admitting that your agents are committing crimes, conspiracy, all across the country, prolifically, right, in CPS cases and criminal cases, then that means that, guess what? You have the power to prevent or aid in the prevention of the commission same, and if you neglect or refuse to do so, you can be brought up as defending the action, because that's how criminal conspiracy works. If my hand goes and steals something, my head can't say it was my hand that did it, right? The only way I can do is cut off my hand. Anyway, when it comes to a criminal conspiracy, the only way you can do it, the only way you can deal with this is you must notify your co-conspirators of your intent to no longer participate in that criminal conspiracy. And Mr. Gorsuch, that's the only way that you can get yourself out of this at this point in time. No other way. Otherwise, you are a part of the criminal conspiracy, and you will remain a part of the criminal conspiracy until such time as we deal with the disposition of this dispute. Which means that we can bring all up for the criminal acts that they're committing, or we can bring, or we can do this honorably, right?